Hello and welcome to another weekly update. I really hope you're doing well. Lots of things to talk about today, so let's get right into it. So first of all, something I did a blog post about yesterday, and that is a change to something in Microsoft Graph that will be of use to anyone who uses kind of bots or anything really to send messages into Microsoft Teams. So chat messages, and are doing it on behalf of bots or other applications. And where doing that can be a bit confusing because then you don't have a user associated with it. So what do I mean by that? I mean, let's say you've got a user using your application to do something, and then you want to post a message into Teams about it, whether that's an adaptive card, whether it's something complicated or even just a message. At the moment, the way you're doing it might have just the bot putting that message in. So the message comes from the bot and not from the user. There's a couple of different ways around that. You might want to use delegated permissions to post as the user, but depending on what you're doing, you might actually need or want to keep posting it as the bot, but you just want to kind of reference the user in some way because you want to say, hey, it was the user that did this thing. It wasn't just the bot kind of doing its own thing. Because in some cases, even though it was posted by the bot, actually who initiated the action is kind of important, right? So for all of those reasons, there is a way to do this now. So this is the blog post, and this is what I'm talking about. So let me just show you real quick. It's this here where you've got the difference on the left between it just having the name of the bot or the application. So in this case, poll. But on the right-hand side, you can see the user who kind of initiated this action has been referenced. So you can see the user's name goes first and then via the name of the application. So that's quite a nice way of calling out that even though it happened by a specific application doing the action, actually there was a user who initiated it. And that might mean something depending on your business, on your use case. Very, very easy to add this in using this on behalf of a property that you can now add. So you can do this in the SDK, the Bot Framework SDK. You need to be using the 4.6 or later, but you can do it. I've put the C# version in there. You can go and check out at the bottom of this blog post, I put a reference to the Microsoft Docs, so you can go and see, I think there's a Node version as well in there as well. So that's how you might do it as a developer, but also this is useful if you're looking at the data, because as people start to put this in, as applications start to put this in, you'll start to see this come out again in the data, because that on behalf of property is now part of the chat message resource. So the chat message resource is the object that when you go and ask for a chat or a list of chats from Microsoft Graph, you're going to go and get that resource back, that chat resource back. And in it is a new property called on behalf of that you can also read as well as being able to write to as a developer. So lots to take in there, but really it just means that if you're an application and you're sending messages on behalf of users, you now have a way to reference that, and you can then also read that information later. So this is good. This is only in beta at the moment, so just be aware of that. I expect it will come to the 1.0 endpoint at some point. I'm just telling you that as of right now, it's quite new and it's just into beta at the moment. So that's the first thing. So I did a blog post about that, so you can go check that out. I'll put a link in the description. I always put links to everything I'm talking about. You can go and check the description of whatever it is you're listening or watching to this on. If it's YouTube, it's in the YouTube description. If it's a podcast, go and check the description in your podcast player, because all the links will be in there as well. Okay, next thing to talk about, Company Communicator. Very well-known, very popular app template for Microsoft Teams. And there's been some updates to Company Communicator. There's an unofficial branch, which is kind of cool. So someone called Tech Peanuts, who works at Microsoft, does additional kind of changes to Company Communicator. Sometimes they make it into the master branch, sometimes they don't. These are all on the unofficial master branch. So there's a bunch of new features. So if you do use Company Communicator, please go and check this out. I think there's some things in here you will like. So specifically some new features. So targeting mode. This I really like actually. Around the character count. So it's not really a character count, it's actually size count, because there's a limit of 32 characters per record in an Azure table. And so you can hit that quite, not easily, but like it's possible to hit it with really long messages, and that's what Company Communicator uses under the hood. So you can definitely sort of be aware of that, and it's nice to have like a visual on the screen now to tell you when you're coming close to that limit. So I really like that. It's a couple of bug fixes, some other things. So you can go and get this if you run Company Communicator. Get my words out. If you run Company Communicator today, you can go and get this. Go and have a look. Even if you just want to evaluate it in test, something like that, because it is like the unofficial branch, or you could decide just to take some parts of it as well that you wanted. So that's really cool and very interesting. So if you're using Company Communicator, go check that out, and go check out all of his blog posts, actually, his Tech Peanuts blog post, because he's done a bunch of work on Company Communicator, and there's some really interesting things in there. All right. Okay, so that's two big things. Let's take a pause. It's like first thing in the morning here on a Monday. So just kind of getting started for the week. So plenty of interesting things going on this week for sure. But yeah, it's always good to make a start. But I'm starting nice and early today. It's only just getting light. So I'm here in the UK. So nice early start. Next up. So this is not specifically around Teams development, but there's some PowerShell stuff in here that I think will be of value to some people. New post on the Microsoft Teams blog around managing Teams meeting recording auto-expiration. So yes, so meetings will automatically expire. Meeting recordings will automatically expire, and when that happens, the associated Teams recording that's stored in OneDrive or SharePoint will get deleted. So that's a big deal. So this is automatic. You can turn it off if it's not needed at an admin level. By default, new recordings expire 60 days after they're taken, unless it's an A1 user, which has a 30-day. I love this next sentence in the blog post, which I'll call out in a minute. But I imagine if you're hearing those words for the first time, kind of my reaction was like, 60 days, is that all? Meeting recordings are like really important, and they're such a valuable like asset, and surely people go back and watch meeting recordings all the time. Yeah, you think so? I'm just going to read you this next sentence because I thought it was funny. The 60-day default was chosen because on average across all tenants, 99% plus of meeting recordings are never watched again after 60 days. And I can completely believe that. The number of times I've said to people, please record this meeting, I'm not attending. I'll definitely catch the recording later. Of course you won't. Of course you won't. Nobody ever does. That said, I imagine for some people, though, it is really important to keep meetings. And definitely there are some meeting recordings I have definitely kept. So there's some things to do here. As an admin, you can disable this. You can also set different times. You can set the expiration date to something other than 60 days if you want to. You can do it in PowerShell, and that's the main reason I'm talking about this here, is because there is PowerShell support for doing this. There's a PowerShell command of new meeting recording expiration days. It's a policy as well you can set. So, bunch of different things. You can, if you're using the PowerShell, you can set it to -1, which means never auto expire. Or you can set it to an actual number of days. So you can go as low as 1 day. You can go as high as 99999 days if you really want to. Not sure why you do that. The actual PowerShell command to do it, let me share the screen so you can see it. The actual PowerShell command to do it is set CS Teams meeting policy, and then the property is new meeting recording expiration days, and then you set the number. So that's how you do it. That's how you set it. Be aware of it. If you're a developer, to be honest, like if you're a developer doing anything with Microsoft Teams, just be aware this might impact you. So we regularly record training calls and onboarding and offboarding, and we like to keep those. And we do, like I'm talking not specifically as a developer, I'm talking more as a team of people who work inside Microsoft Teams, but you know, a development team. But actually, we use this quite a lot, and we reference recordings that have happened in the past. And so one of the things that we found is useful actually is to, and this is true anyway, not specific to expiration, we tend to download the recordings and store them somewhere else. It's still inside Microsoft Teams, but we group them differently. So rather than having them disparate across a channel or different people's like OneDrives and stuff like that, we tend to put them inside a team in the file structure inside of a team. That way everybody on the team knows that's where the recordings are. There's no problems with permissions or anything like that. So that might work for you. That would also get around this problem, because at the point after, obviously once you've downloaded and then re-uploaded your recording somewhere else, it's no longer like you break that expiration link, and it doesn't matter if the original then gets deleted. You've essentially kind of created a new video that has no sort of set expiration on it. So definitely one to be aware of, especially if you are the team's admin in your organization. Meeting recordings. And so be aware of this, because otherwise the first that you're going to know about it is if people come up to you and start telling you that their meetings have gone and are being deleted and stuff. So, and you don't want to be in that place. That's it's too late by then. So definitely one to be aware of. All right, 3 things down, 1 to go. What are we going to talk about next? We're going to talk about Power Platform. And lots of things have been happening with Power Platform in the back end, or most of last year, but also sort of more and more it seems towards the back end of last year, and I imagine that is going to come into 2022 as well, with lots more changes into Power Platform. There's lots of things. I can't keep track of them all, and I'm glad somebody else is. There's a good blog post by Shane Young over on the Petri.com site, all about what's new with Power Platform, and it's a wrap up around December 2021. And so here's the blog post. I'm going to put a link to it below. He goes through lots and lots of different things that I was not aware of. Things I didn't know about. So really interesting across the sort of whole Microsoft 365 space. A couple of things that might be of interest to you as well. So definitely worth keeping an eye on, just to kind of see what all those new things are and to keep on top of them. I do think Power Platform is going to continue to evolve and be an important part of the team's development story in 2022. I think that's where, if you want, some sort of prediction of what this year's going to look like. I know we did this a couple of weeks ago, but I think Power Platform, it's a no-brainer really to say it's going to be an important part of the process and of the thing. It'll be kind of interesting to see how it works with Loop. So Loop, I think, is going to be the other big thing, and the bringing some of those Loop components for developers to use and bringing them into Microsoft Teams as well. So I think that is going to be interesting. Exactly how that works with Power Platform, whether or not Power Platform will stay up to date, and if you like, and stay on top of some of these big component changes, or whether it will kind of lag behind. I think we're just going to have to wait and see how that goes. But it's going to be interesting all around. So lots to get our teeth into in 2022. But for now, for this week, those are 4 things to make sure you stay up to date. So I hope that's been useful. Not sure if anything else is going to come out from me this week. I've got plans to do a video, I think, next week. A couple of other things going on this week, but obviously blog posts will come out as the news comes out, and there's some how-to things I'm working on also. So plenty going on. Whatever it is you're doing, I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you again next time.